Howdy y'all, I'm Ice Gold, and today I've got a little something to talk about. It's something that has honestly perplexed me for a little while, but recently another content creator by the name of HKO2 brought this up in a recent video of his where he discussed PvP, and it really got me thinking. Why do we have damage ranges in Wizard 101? For PvP and for PvE. And this question, it's just... Even the devs have asked themselves this over the years, and we have seen them pivot away from, spells with damage ranges, especially starting here in Mirage. But the older spells, even after the audits, still a lot of them have damage ranges. And what I mean by damage ranges is, look at this. Raging Bull, 710 to 860 base fire damage. That's a lot. That's a big difference between, 710 base and 860 base, and it can really cause problems if you're trying to play quick, and situationally it isn't always great to use a spell with a range. And from my PvP point of view, I think that having spells with damage ranges is a little bit goofy. You see S'more Machine here. This has a damage range of 120, and when I'm playing on my fire, I usually tend to rely on this for a lot of burst damage. It is 2 shads and 5 pips to use, so I would prefer to do a lot of damage with it. But because of the difference in base damage, the multipliers that I have, being damage and critical, and then pierce, affecting resist and all that, if I hit low end, that can make the difference between winning the match and losing the match. And I don't think that's a mechanic that anyone likes, not even the devs like that. At least I'm pretty sure. I know Ratbeard loves his RNG, but I'm just not so sure if everybody's on board with that. It doesn't seem like it's a very popular opinion to, want this type of thing to stay in the game. And there are spellment paths, actually, that fix this issue entirely. Phoenix, for example. I had this max tiered, and as you can see, it used to have a pretty wide damage range of about 80. But then, as I upgraded it, it went from 80 to 60 to 40 to 20 to 0. And I think that's really, really good. You can do that with, spellments and all that. But I'd rather it just be a fixed value from the start. Because, from a PvPer's point of view, it's very important to know how much damage you can do, and knowing how much you can hit for at any given time. But that doesn't just apply to PvP, though. Being able to learn how much damage you do is going to matter a lot in the upcoming world of Wallaroo, where all of the new AoEs do have fixed damage values, which I like. I like that they've gone for that in the new world. But you'll have to figure out kind of quick if your new AoE can take down the mobs you're after in 1 turn, is it 2 turns? In my main school Ice's case, is it 3 turns? Once you sort of learn how much your spells do with however much damage you have, that's real important. But the problem is, with some spells, there's just not really a whole lot of predictability. Life, for example, their 7-pip AoE is Forest Lord, and this is the only one in the game that has a damage range, because they did finally get rid of all the others. Forest Lord, it's just, you have to really figure out, because I think the base damage here is 620 to 680, so if you hit for, 680, and it overkills mobs by 150 damage after all your multipliers. If you were to hit 620 on the base, it might not do the job, and you're sitting there for at least another couple rounds until you can AoE again. And, this is a problem that Ice faces more than any other school. I can make a whole another video about that, but for the time being, let's just focus on the damage ranges. Additionally, some of the ranges are pretty damn crazy, as I went over before. Raging Bull, if I can find it, does, look at that, 710 to 860 base, and that is not at all consistent. That is a range of 150. I can't really think of any off the top of my head that have a higher range than that. I know this used to be like an insane range, like 300, I think, on Polaris' test realm, and then it was a whole thing. But this is a very inconsistent card. It's just not that great because, you know, this is a shad spell. This costs 6 pips and a shad. So if you use this, you know, turn 2, if you're lucky enough to get a shad by then, with a frenzy, this might do, I don't know, 6k-ish on the high end if it were to hit 860 or technically 1160 with an enchant. But with some of the mobs in Wallaroo, especially like those Phantasmanian devils out in Billabong Resort that have a lot of health, if you're doing, you know, 6k with the high end, you might only do, you know, 5k-ish with the low end, and that can be a problem because, again, you know, the mobs are living on 446 health, for example, and now you have to wait another 2 turns until you can use your Goon AoE. So for consistency's sake, I'd like it if they could do away with this, and, you know, maybe this video will get some people talking. maybe we'll see a second spell audit. That would be really nice to see, because these damage ranges really are pointless. There's no point in having these spells not do a fixed amount. There's RNG involved as to whether or not you're really able to, you know, kill your mobs that you're fighting or your boss, and that can significantly slow down a fight, you know, because it's like if you're not guaranteed to get the win on a certain turn, you know, you're waiting there for another few turns, and depending on how low your health is, that you might not have a few turns. So, you know, these ranges can be the difference between life and death sometimes, and I'm sure many would prefer it if they were taken out of the game. And, you know, as aforementioned, the devs have pivoted away from these damage ranges as of late with the new spells that they've been adding. The first example happened here in Mirage when the 4-pip shads got added. These do a fixed amount divided to all, but they were the first out of many that didn't have a range on them. And, you know, the trend continued in Imperia. The Scion spells, they did a set amount of damage and they had a conditional on them, but, you know, they were fixed values. And then Caramel came around and it it kind of went back on it a little bit, that these were really the last ones that had this going on. Scratch that, actually. Now that I think about it, the Lemuria spells also had some damage ranges, but, you know, it is what it is. But the Novus spells, like, you know, Glimpse of Infinity, Deathly Depths, Tree of Strife, that type of deal, these didn't have ranges, and I feel like the devs are beginning to pivot away from having them, like for real this time. We saw them try it with the Mirage and Imperia spells, but they sort of went back to it afterward. But with the new, I guess, quote-unquote lore style spells that they're trying to do with the new worlds, you know, this... Oh, I am in Istanbul now. How about that? But yeah, these newer spells have just fixed damage values, and I think everybody appreciates them for that. There's bosses like Don Manzana where you have to use the new spells, and it's very nice to not have to worry about, you know, potentially hitting low end and not being able to kill when you need to. So it looks to me like they are trying to move away from ranges at long last. But what this could mean is that we may see another spell audit. The last time they did one of these was in 2020 with the summer update, and, you know, it got mixed reviews. I know I certainly wasn't a fan of some of the changes, but if they really want to move away from these damage ranges and then retroactively apply that to the older spells, I think that a second spell audit would be welcome. I think people would like it if there was a chance for, you know, their feedback to reach the developers and really, I guess, try to lobby for better and more consistent spells. I know I would certainly like that opportunity with me being an Iceman and everything, but this could be the catalyst for them potentially trying that out. I know for a fact that I would prefer to have a s'more machine that did, 1040 fixed damage as opposed to 980 to 1100. I would really like to have that as a PvP player. And then, there's other spells like Sun Serpent. In my honest opinion, Sun Serpent is the best spell to use against a boss because it does, it's big hit and then does a hit for the minion. And I think that's really cool, but, sometimes you may not kill the boss with both hits, and that's because you hit low end. So making the spell more consistent, if this were to do 835, I think is in the middle here. I could be wrong there. Quick maths. But if this spell it did a fixed value and then had the after attack, I think people would really invite that and they would be cool with that. While they're at it, they might as well tune some other spells that need it. So best case scenario, that happens and the game gets better as a result. But yeah, thank you all for watching. I kind of just wandered around the desert and yapped for like 15 minutes or however long this ends up being, but I'm passionate about it now. I've been radicalized. I am staunchly anti-damage range because it really is kind of stupid to just have a chance to not do the damage you need to do. Like if I were to fight Ender Zaga right now and I wanted to use a Sun Serpent on him, I might just not kill him because of RNG. That's just how it be, and I'd rather it not be like that. None of those words are in the Bible. But yep, thank y'all for watching. I've been Ice Gold. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave like 50 comments for the algorithm, and I'll see y'all later.